Well. So to everybody who's been posting on my YNW Melly. Alright, what is up everybody? Well. So to everybody who's been posting on my YNW Melly videos,
He's guilty, bro. Shut up, bro.
to everyone that's been posting that bullshit, I have a wonderful update for you. It's been over a year that YNW Melly and his boy who was driving the car the night of the deadly murders, it's been over a year that those two have been locked up in prison waiting for a trial with no bail. And of course, this is when narratives get created online. YNW Melly's team has been silent, but the government has been releasing all these photos that look crazy. And I showed them in my last video. You can see the bullet trajectories that the police are trying to prove that Melly did the killings from the back left seat, the busted up back window, the bullet shell that they found in a little plastic bag. But I have an update. Finally, there was a bond hearing. The state of Florida presented the judge with all the evidence, right? They came in, they had a year and a half to gather all this evidence. By the way, they still don't have any DNA of either of these two boys at the crime scene. You don't need DNA to prove that someone is guilty, but still. So the feds came with sworn statements from the defendant, Cortland Henry, the crime lab processing reports, which is the reports of the clothing, whether there was any bullet residue, blood, whatever they could find on YW Bortland's clothes. They presented all this evidence to the judge. He looked it over and he's going to decide whether or not YW Bortland should be able to post bail. And after looking at all this quote unquote evidence that the feds are presenting, the judge decides the state of Florida has not met its burden of proof at this court hearing. Basically what he's saying is, you're trying to charge him of first degree murder and accessory to murder. I don't know if I'm buying it. Huge blow to the state of Florida. Prosecutor was like, come on, brother. The judge said, no, bro, no. You gotta let Cortland Henry free. And now the judge is going to have an actual bond hearing to determine the pretrial release clauses, whether he's allowed to leave the state, leave the city, leave his house, whether he needs to wear an ankle bracelet, all this stuff, that's to be determined. But basically the important part is good news for Melly, because if Cortland Henry is free to go on bond, then Melly has a good chance of being free to go on bond. That's a huge update. Just for fun, let's look at all the fuck ups that the feds have made. They dropped the ball a bunch of times, right? First of all, they arrested the wrong person, right? Someone who, according to them, appeared to look like YW Melly at one of Melly's shows in Washington, D.C. Like, that's how he knew to turn himself in the first place, right? Is that they arrested the wrong guy, and then Melly's like, oh shit, apparently I'm wanted for arrest. I'm gonna turn myself in. Now, of course, you got some dumb fucks on the internet that think if you turn yourself in, this means you're guilty. No, you turn yourself in because it's illegal not to. You have to let the process play out. So that's one fuck up. The second one is they still can't find DNA. It's been a year and a half. The cops don't have his DNA at the crime scene, which is funny because he's on camera getting into the car. How do you not find DNA? Did he slide into the window of the car? Like, how did he open the door to the car without leaving his DNA anywhere? DNA can last for like millions of years in proper preservation, and they can't find any of that at the crime scene. And the third fuck up that they did, and this one's pretty important, is that they don't have a specialist who co-signed their theory on the bullet trajectory, right? Normally what they do is when they present evidence, they have to cite all the forensic specialists and all the scientists who co-sign their theories. The one slot that they did not fill out was the bullet trajectory theory implicating Melly from the back left seat as the shooter. They didn't get a specialist to co-sign that. So that's a fuck up. Now Melly, what he can do is he can use his millions of dollars to go out there and find the specialist, pay them to disprove this theory. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how important money is in the courts. If Melly didn't have the money to pay a specialist to disprove these bullet trajectory theories, he would be fucked. And most people don't have that money. Imagine how many people are sitting in prison who just didn't have the money to fight the case. Crazy. Very interesting. The lawyer that used to represent YNW Melly in this case, his name on Instagram is Law Ronan. Very famous celebrity criminal justice lawyer. He no longer represents Melly because Melly actually upgraded his team. But the old lawyer is still following the case. A couple of weeks ago, he posted a photo of Melly and he said, "This will be a very interesting trial. I am no longer representing Melly in this matter, but I predict not guilty based on all the evidence that I have reviewed." And he also says that he believes bond will be granted to YW Bortland, and most probably in the case of YW Melly as well. And then someone asked in the comments, but if it wasn't him, then who did it? The drive-by was staged. They tried to cover it up. The two dead kids were last seen with them before they were all of a sudden dropped off, already dead at the hospital. The shell casing found under the seat Melly was sitting. Where is the reasonable doubt? So the lawyer responds and he says, prosecutors sometimes fall in love with what they think are facts that constitute the smoking gun. It happens very often. When this happens, they fail to see the variables. In this case, I think there are many variables. Bond will be granted in at least Cortland's case, and I believe ultimately in Melly's case as well. Real simple, this is how this plays out. The judge has to think of two things. One, is this enough evidence to keep them in prison up until the trial? And second, if I do let them out, would they leave the country? Would they go to, Bali or something to escape? Or would they be a danger to society if we let them go until the trial? And if the judge says no to either of those, then he has to give them bond. So it's up to the state of Florida to present a good case. And right now online, everyone's like, yo, it's fucking over. They're guilty. But the judge is like, no fam. And this is what I've been saying all along. This is not an open and shut case by any means. But I get it. Narratives are fun. People want this shit to be true. The rapper who made Murder on My Mind turns out that he kills his best friends. That's a good story for people to embellish, unfortunately. So I want to know what you think in the comments.